Someday I'm going to learn to mute the sound of the live preview before I start the stream. Today won't be that day, but someday I'm going to do that. I'm going to scratch my ear and I'm going to say, hello, everybody. OdatNurd here. Welcome to tonight's live stream. It is April the 21st. It is Easter, and we are ready to rock and roll on some code changes for HyperHelp author. Um, and maybe restoring my theme here because I was helping somebody on the forum. But first, the magic key press. Isn't that satisfying? Uh, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping here. Um, Someone on the forum I think it was on the forum, might have been on Stack Overflow, was asking, I think it was that Stack Overflow, asking a question about changing the size of the font in the sidebar, and they were having a problem doing it. And I answered their question for them. And while I was answering the question, I tried it myself because I always attempt what it is I'm telling someone before I finish telling them to make sure that what I'm telling them is not a gigantic lie. That's always a good way to be. How are you guys? OdatNurd in the house. We have some plans for tonight. Also, I believe I just got a notification that uh, there's a new build of Sublime. Yeah, the stable 3207, dev 3208, and what build are we running here? Boop boop boo. 3206. Oh, we're two versions behind. Hang on. We want 3207. Is that not how that works? Oh, right. Can't work my own script. We want to download that. Okay, I already downloaded that one. That's good. So let's just go ahead and download that one. That's right. I think there was a stable build, but I run dev builds and stable builds and dev builds. When a new stable build comes out, it's functionally identical to the last dev build, except that the build number is different. Okay, and I believe now we should be able to maybe quit that and say install to install that version. And fire it up. And there we go. Yeah. I'm hearing conflicting reports that this latest dev build actually causes more problems for macOS than it's supposed to solve. But on the basis of only a couple of people, it's hard to say for sure. Um, the continuing saga of Apple pushing out broken versions of their driver and then app authors getting harassed by users because their apps don't work because the display drivers are buggy continues unabated. Okay, so that is all worked out. So what do we have on the docket for tonight? It is an exciting night. It's more of that thing we did last week. If you'll recall, on last week's stream, we took the single HyperHelp author file that contained all of the commands and split it into this commands folder inside a source folder with things common to all commands, one for each of the commands, and in the init, we also put the common code and an event handler and our linter code in there. And now the top level code is this nice tight file here. We're going to continue this work tonight on the code in the linter.py file because we see here there is a fair bit of stuff here that isn't, well, it's all related to linting, obviously, because of the file that it is. But linter base is the base class for all of our linters, and then there are these helper methods that are used by commands to determine if they can or can't run lints, get the linters, and all of the actual code that's driving the lint output into the panel. And then at the bottom there are just various linters, one for doing links, one for doing anchors, is that one there, one for finding missing help, one for mismatching titles. And I think I'd like to do a same thing, that make a folder in here called Linter that has common and files for each of these linters, just to make that part easier. And maybe we also want to tighten up this resources thing a little bit. We could put key maps in a key maps directory, and commands in the command directory, and settings in the settings directory, and menus in the menu directory. Those are all pretty simplistic-y type things to change, and that'll make this part just look a lot nicer if we actually care about resources. Because if you're going to do it right. And from there, we're going to move on to adding some other linters, assuming we can get all of that done in our 2-hour time period. Specifically, we're going to um, right now there is a linter for telling you that there's a help file that exists in the document root, but it's not listed in the index, which would be your clue that you've created a new help file, but you forgot to tell HyperHelp about it. Number 2 on this list is finding help files that exist and are in the index, but they're not referenced by links anywhere in the table of contents. That would generally mean, for most packages, that the table of contents is incomplete because there's at least one file that's not somehow referenced there. We don't want to say that every topic in every file needs to be in the table of contents, but every file should somehow be there, to basically the idea being that a user using the package, probably, or if you have a user using your package, rather, I should say, you want to make sure that they have a chance of hitting all of your help by using the table of contents. Number 3 is a similar thing to that, which is help files that aren't linked anywhere. Now, that's different from table of contents. If it's not in the table of contents, there's no way for the user to discover it there. Help files not linked anywhere would mean that there's no way from any one help file in the system to ever go to another, to that help file, without going through the table of contents or an index or something. Both of those are going to be considered linter warnings, because maybe there are some help files that aren't supposed to be linked anywhere. And a good example of that would be override audit. When I add the help for it, there's going to be all the documentation for the actual package and how to use it. There'll also be context sensitive help for very specific situations that we want to be able to pop in the help menu, in the help view, to say, in this situation, this does this, that does that. Those aren't the sorts of things you need to be in the natural flow of things. But we do want to be able to warn people that they're not linking to their help, because that's another indication that they wrote something and haven't fully integrated it yet. Keep in mind, all of the features and packages that I write, assuming they're not driven by someone saying, hey, what would be cool? Like when Michael Lyons mentioned that he thought it would be handy if override audit showed untracked files in diff reports and override reports, so that if you modified a package with the intent of adding it, you'd know that there were extra files there. Any, uh, with the exception of stuff like that, anything I add to my packages are something that I myself would find useful, because it's my particular metric. By and large, if I've written a package or a plugin or something along those lines, I either wrote it because someone else asked, how do I do this, or I had a very specific need and I wrote it to cover my own need, often at the expense of doing it without bothering to look in package control to see if some other package like that already exists. Particularly in the case of simple plugins, I personally, as a developer, find it more fun and interesting and thought-provoking, learning opportunity, blah blah, all that kind of stuff, to do it myself and learn from the experience, rather than just go and find something on package control that would do the same thing. Because I generally like more focused, targeted solutions in simple plugins. I don't want to install a big, bulky package just to get one simple functionality. Um, Moving on from that, number 4 in this list, if we even get that far, would be a setting that makes the lint output go into a buffer instead of into a panel, which is quote unquote simple, because the thing that, as we might even be able to see it when we're going through the linter type code, um, there's just a simple routine that figures out where the lint view is, and everything just gets inserted into it. So should be pretty simple to create a view uh, that's not that and insert it into the window. Possibly the trickier part there is refining the existing view. Um, and then we can move on with other things that are actually enhancing the authoring experience itself. Now for the purposes of this, do we want to go in one more branch? Oh, I already have that open, don't I? Code reorganize. Um, um, yeah, let's create a new branch. What we might call this. We'll call the first. You know what? We'll do the resource directory first, and then do the linter one second, because that one's more complicated and actually changes code that we might want to back out. But doing this resources part should be fairly simplistic. So one thing we might want to do here is, can this thing create? I can't remember. New file relative to current view. New file relative to current. Huh. Oh, the file manager package is currently broken. That would explain why that's not doing what I thought it should do. Huh. Remember when I said this would be simple? Maybe it won't be. Let's quit and restart. Okay. So no errors. Everything seems to think it's okay. Yeah. So those are there. Now, admittedly, you know, how about I just do that, huh? Yeah. I use File Manager a lot for new file relative to current view and things of that nature. I need to go down to HyperHelp Author. Then we want to go into resources and see we have menus and key maps, commands, and settings. So based on that, this would go to menus because that's the context menu. And probably easier to do that from that whole console view thing, isn't it? Since I'm here. If I move star.sublime menu to menus and star.sublime key map to key maps, MB star.sublime settings to settings, MB star. Oh, well, I can just do this. That one's sort of overkill because does it really matter? I highly doubt it. Now we do need to check all of these to make sure that this will still work because there is the potential for problems. So the context menu, that's just going to always work, right? So we can feel free to stage that and stage the context menu here, which will stage that one as a rename, which is what we want. Next, okay, key map files, they're going to be pretty simple. They don't have any commands that have paths. We'll see why I'm doing this in just a second. So let's stage the default Linux key map can be staged and OS X and Windows. And here we can stage Linux, OS X, and Windows. And again, those staged down here, as we can see, is renames, which is what we want. Commands, now we're getting into, that's still going to be nothing too interesting, so we can stage that and that one. And settings files should work just fine from another location because settings from a package are loaded no matter where in the package they are. It's only the user package, whoops, that has special handling for settings. Okay, and lastly, this one. This is the one that we're going to have to change. So we're going to stage the deletion, but we want to open the untracked file in the editor, and we'll go ahead and do it that way. Because of this, the settings are no longer in HyperHelp Author Resources, HyperHelp Author.Sublime Settings. They're now in Set Resources Settings. And this is the menu, right? So that means like right now, because I haven't saved that, if I said HyperHelp Author Settings, it blows up in my face because it's trying to go to a file that's not there. But now that I've saved that file, it will work like so. And ditto here on the key bindings. We could say key maps. And again, because I haven't saved that file yet, if I did package settings, HyperHelp author key bindings, it doesn't work. And after I save, that, that menu is so twiddly. Oh, and I ended up misclicking. Yeah. I don't know why I don't really like using the mouse for a lot of things. That one is now working. Those are the only two things there. Now, I guess the fun thing is I don't have any items in this that actually do that. That seems like an oversight. Maybe we'll just go ahead and fix that in just a second. But that should have everything working again. So let's go ahead and stage that file now. I'm going to do that. Someone is talking in IRC. They may or may not be having a conversation in there. So that's all of those changes, and the menu is a rename, even though it is very slightly changed because it's mostly the same, so it still counts. And there's sort of issues with if files have too many changes in them. Sometimes I've found Git doesn't necessarily track that they are renames in a way one might expect. And for this, we might say clean up the resource directory. Normally, I wouldn't go ahead and type all of the commit text here, but because we're going to be doing another branch, this is just going to make life easier overall. We're going to say clean up inside of the resource directory by, oh, I know I forgot to make this window the wrong side. No wonder I can't see what I'm expecting to see over there on that side. That's silly. Okay. Creating appropriate subfolders for all of the different resource types. Makes the layout of the code easier on the eye while browsing the package source. Okay, now with that having been said, we'll note that if I say pref override audit, I have these two items here, which are in my over commands, override audit resources commands, override audit dot sublime commands. I have settings and key bindings. And override audit is cool enough. This is something that actually needs to be done. In the olden days, before version 3.0 or so of Sublime, I can't remember exactly when that was originally received, there would be items in the key binding menu here for settings default and settings user, and packages did the same thing. And then the new edit settings command was added to make it open up in that nice split window the way we expect to see. Override audit, because it could work with older versions and new versions, has its own proxy command that it uses so that on older versions it does it the old way and in newer versions it does it the new way. We're going to want to take, I think, that one and this one out of this file and put them in this file. Now, this sort of changes that. Go ahead and copy that and go bang, bang, there. Now, those two are wrong, but the settings base file is this one. Copy it there and paste it here. And the key map is this one. Oh, sorry. That's not that one. It's this one. Oh, whoops. I'm looking at the wrong one. Silly me. Better double check that I didn't just screw that in the other one. And these are both edit settings as well. So I did that and changed both of those. Oops. Like so. And I would imagine that those still look that way, right? Yeah. I could say pref HHA, pref HHA, and get the hyperhelp author settings. And, whoops. Oh, I hate when I do that. And key bindings, and get those. So with those in play, I can come back to here, stage that, and amend that commit. Okay, well, that might get old soon. Now we can go ahead and create a branch. We'll call this Linter Refactor. Thusly. Now, do we remember how all of this was done last week? And what a pain in the butt it was? Let's clean up some files here. We don't need that one anymore. We certainly don't need override audit. We're done with the menu. The init.py and source, we probably care about that. The lint command, oh, we probably care about that. Source commands, linter, events, we don't care about. Okay, now, with all of that out of the way, the first and most important thing for me to do right now is drink some coffee. Coffee keeps us going, especially on a late Eastern night where we woke up quite early. Okay, so what we want to do here is create a new folder called, so we want to basically do what this is doing. We're going to save as this bad boy, but not in source commands. We're going to say linter and save it in there. And I'm just going to close and reopen that because occasionally there's weirdness related to save asing a file. Maybe this is something that I got into the habit of doing when I was still using Git Gutter, because if you save as a file, all the magic settings it uses to be able to track things, it never notices that the file changed, and it'll keep showing you Gutter notifications from the previous file and not from where you currently are. Okay, now we want to say from ... authoring. That still works. It's coming out of from in here, out with one dot to linter, out with one dot to source, and then to there. Seems like that would work. This would be source.linter. And we're going to say for right now, what we want to import is that. And we're going to remove all of that. Now, this is that whole... I'm not even sure necessarily that I want to export the common linter code. So let's leave it well enough alone on this and sort of go from there. Now next, we want to take this linter file here like thus. And maybe we do want to do that. For our purposes, let us save as this into the source linter directory as common, like so. And save that. And again, we're going to close and reopen that. So now that is this file here. Okay, we want to keep that. Linter base, yes. Can lint, find lint, get lint, format, display. Linter base, anything that derives from linter base is an actual linter. So we don't want to put these here. We're going to put these in their own classes. There's going to be 4 of them. So from here down, like one more. Like so, this is that. Now this is that whole display lint thing. This literal single call is what's creating the little lint panel that appears down there when you run a lint. And that's right, that creates the actual view for the lint and make sure that it's all set up and everything. So it would probably be fairly simple to cram stuff into it, but we'll find out because I believe this gets called with output. This creates the window and then appends the output into it, and then like so, and then shows it. So if this created a view in the window instead of creating a panel, everything should just magically work the way we want if we want to display lints there. Okay, now this is where things start to get, okay, all of these are definitely just going to always work because they're coming from the core. Yeah, we definitely want codecs. I assume we still want these. Those are needed for that, and we're definitely doing something with files if I had to guess. Yeah. We're doing stuff with that. So I think now this is magic stuff here. So let's go ahead and if we look at the actual linter code, let's sort of work this from the bottom up here. We want to reload source and then from source import everything. So that file should be fine. So that means the next thing we want to look at is the input.py in the source directory, which should also reload source dot linter thusly from dot import common from dot import linter. Now, this is the bit where we're not 100% sure how all this is going to shake out. This is one of those scary changes where, where it might be a little unclear about how it's all going to work out. We just have to work our way through it the best way we can and troubleshoot problems as we go. Remember, one of the most important lessons of programming is no, don't be afraid. You got to experiment. The only way to learn is to do. Well, I guess not the only way. One of the best ways to learn is to do. Now, we're going to say that linter file is no longer in the top level of the package. It's still in the source directory, though. So for our purposes, let's say we comment out that just because. Now, if I reload this, it'll maybe work, maybe not. Seems to not matter as of yet, but I bet you if I quit and restart, that's when it'll start caring. So let's try that now. And let that be our guide. There we go. Now that is one of those examples of, yeah, I deleted stuff, but that symbol still exists, so it's still okay. Now it is unhappy in from.source import star because in source init in commands import star it said from.lint import lint command, and from there it tried to pull stuff out of linter and it can't. So yeah, I wish I could say I was surprised by that, but I'm really not. Okay. maybe for our purposes, we'll maybe put that back for now. Okay, so that should make it. Oh, I deleted the stuff out of there, didn't I? Yeah, okay, so let's undo that then. The real question I'm trying to come up with here is anything that's this is the one, the init.py in source. So anything that's exported, pardon me, from this is something that code external to us would be able to do something with. That's why it definitely needs all of this stuff, because that's the commands to the event listeners. Does the outer code actually need common though? I'm not so sure about that. I think other code needs to come into this one. Maybe that means it needs to be exported there. That might be the reason why we did that. We could say from .linter. Yeah, okay, let's just leave that alone for a second here. This is one of those things I was thinking of while I was, where's my thing here? While I was on my walk this morning, I was thinking of this stuff here and how in override audit, instead of saying from dot import common, or sorry, from like, yeah, instead of from dot import common, I was importing specific symbols. And I think that was because you might want to be able to get at certain symbols just by importing them from the command without uh, actually having to do anything special and know exactly what module it's in. But okay, so we know that the linter has its own init and a common. So what we need to do is save this file and as a, okay, linter base is not the thing we care about. Help. Okay, help. Okay, there's links. Whoops. Oh man, oh man. There's an anchor linter, a link linter, missing help source. Maybe we'll just save them as those very same things. So we're going to save as this file into source linter as whoops. This GTK3 file box is a giant pain in the tuchus. Linter, and we're going to call it, again, if I do that, anchors, because this is an anchor linter. We're going to save it. Scroll down, save as. Now it's in the correct directory. I can just call this one, this was links, right? Link, and save it again as missing help source. Like so, and then save it one more time as missing title, like that. Now we're going to close that one. Now, since we did that, we can delete that. And in here, we will open that anchor. Oh, we're sure we don't need common, do we? Anchor, link, missing help source, missing title. So this is the missing title one. We're going to pull that. Well, actually, we can do this smarter. Oh, it's mismatching title. Crap. I'll have to rename that. Let's go ahead and do this. And rename this to mismatching title .py. Okay. And what do we have in here? We need parse help header. So we definitely need this. We're going to do that thing where we did last time. Do we need this? No. Do we need this? No. This? No. This? No. So all these go away. Do we need the log? No. Do we need the syntax? No, that goes away. Do we need to know about help indexes? No. Do we need to look up a help topic? No. So that goes away. Do we want to parse a header? Yes. Do we want to parse a body? No. Do we want to parse a link body? No. So that's going to look like that, and we don't care about that one. So now this is nicely tightened like so. Assuming that it gets the stuff that it needs, but it does need to know about the linter base. But we can cycle back and pull that stuff in. This is only working here because it was all in one file before. Now this one is missing help. So from here we can come all the way up to there and get rid of that one. And we want to do the same thing from here down as well, with 2 blank lines, and then, oh, damn it. Hang on. Somewhere in here. Oops, I went too far. That happens far too often, and I find it very, very irritating. Nope. Oops, don't do that. Nope. 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 So all those go away. And, okay. Oh, if you could not select something, that would be lovely. No. Does this one care about the index? No. Or that? No. Nope. 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 So this doesn't need any of those, but again, it's still going to need the linter base to be able to do anything. But otherwise, it would work the way we want. And the next one is link. So that would be link linter. And again, we can take it to there. And from here down, whoops. Now, no, 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 no. I'm not expecting those to be used, but better safe than sorry. Okay, we're definitely doing that one. We do need to help index list, and we do need to look up topics. We don't care about that or that. Oh, we're going to, not that one, but we are going to parse link bodies because we're linting links. So that's okay. And for this one, yes. So that's what that one looks like. And then anchor is this one. Anchor linter, and go ahead and trim all this stuff out as well. You can see this is the sort of thing that's kind of tedious. One thing, there's probably a package somewhere that would be like a cleanup type tool for your imports, but for as long as it's taking to do this, and this is the 3rd time and all the time I've been writing plugins that I've ever decided to do something like this, it doesn't seem like it's a worthwhile investment in time at the moment to worry about using a package for it, because it just doesn't come up that often, and it seems like it's probably easier to just do it manually as opposed to try to learn how the new package works. Okay, so there's that. Now, this is the part where we're going to start seeing all sorts of weird errors. I mean, more so because things are still quite broken here. So now, oh, excuse me. Ow. Be careful about punching yourself while you're scratching your back. That's not a good idea. My back scratcher got out of control. And once again, YouTube is reminding me that I'm live and could be watching myself. That's fun. Okay, so now we definitely have some, action here. There. How do we want to deal with this? So again, we come down here. We just want to reload source. We want to import everything. So let's say we don't care necessarily what this one does, but we do maybe care about what the init in the linter is doing. Now we know here for commands, we just reload commands, and here in linter we just did that. Now if we took a look at what commands is doing, it has a list of all the files in it that should be reloaded. It imports specific symbols and it exports specific symbols as well. It doesn't export common, it only exports the commands in this particular case. So that's something that's interesting to note. So in this one, we have a common right there, but we also have an anchor. We also have a link. We have mismatching title. And down here, and how did we do this in commands when we did it? It lined up with there. Okay. Oh, shoot, that did not do what I wanted, this one. We also have missing help source, like thus. Now, what do we actually want to export from here? Well, from the anchor, we want to export this. So we'll put that there. From link, we want to export this. So we'll put that there. If I'm missing help source, we want to export that because that's a class that the linter can use. And I'm not even necessarily sure that this is anything that needs to happen here. It might be enough to just expose a simple call here, but we do want to sort of make this as nice as possible for ourselves when we're looking at it anyway. And there, I'll probably want to indent those, I suppose. So that's there. Now we would say from dot anchor import help anchor linter and from dot link import help link help link linter and from dot mismatching title import mismatching title linter and from dot missing import missing help source linter like so. And again, looking here, we have a one line thing there. So that's sort of what the linter code should be returning back from there. But that's not all we want because we do need to have some of the items from the common in here. And one other thing we need to do is bring in the appropriate stuff for these to work as well. So in common, let's just sort of work this from the bottom up from this point. So if we quit and restart and look at where the error hits, the error hits when it tries to load from anchor import help anchor lister. It doesn't know what linter base is. So let's fix that first. Here we want to say from dot common import linter base, which I believe should be what we want. And since I'm so sure that it is, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste it. And does this one not need anything from the core? I guess not. It's just doing file searches. I would highly recommend not copying and pasting code like this without testing that it's what you want first, because this will happen. I've been watching a lot of Electroboom videos lately. Okay, so now the problem is in commands in help author lint command, it can't find lint view, find lint target, and get linters. So those are the three things that we need to actually do something with. So if that's the case, in linter init, we could do this. We'll go ahead and throw that on there and go bang, bang. Oh, sorry. Like that. And then we can do this. From .common import those. And we'll add a comma there and a comma there and join those up like this. And I think these are the three things that we actually need from the other part. So if these come out of linter there, I believe that error is probably happening here. Can lint, find lint, get linters. Oh, we also need get lint file and format lint. It just never got that far. So let's go ahead and copy those, come back to here, paste those in like so, comma those up and go like that. I don't know what the appropriate way to do that is, if you should just span those on multiple lines or something, but that's the way I like to do it because I don't like them to go too long, and I'm okay with multiple lines. So if that was that, then we could say from, if we are in commands, I think we would say, oh, actually, that might actually just work now because now they're actually being exported from .linter. It's going from commands up, pulling out of linter and exporting them from there. So let's go ahead and try that. Do I know what I'm even talking about here? Okay, that seems to have done what we want. We need a help file to be able to tell. Why do I have this open? Is this in my user package? Let's see. Packages default. Huh, well, we'll worry about that another day. Edit this help index. Global name, help anchor, linter is not defined. Okay, so where this is which is in linter common, also needs all of the linters. Okay, well, that makes 135% sense. That's in here. So I guess that would be from dot. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how one would go about doing this. This calls for the last of my coffee. In the linter, in the common code, I guess I have to pull them out of there. What was the error? What was the thing it couldn't find? Help anchor linter. Help anchor linter. Let's try. What happens if I do that? Let's go ahead and try it one more time. I'll clear the console and then go again. Does that seem to work? help link linter. We might also want missing and mismatching. And a new line. Let's quit and restart and start it from a clean base. That doesn't look like it did anything good for us. Cannot import name help anchor linter. See, this is the whole, if I'm inside linter in common, I guess I have to pull it from the actual file. I guess I'd probably do it like that if I had to guess. From dot missing help source, import that. Like so. No, it doesn't look happy. I got some sort of freaky. Yeah, I got some sort of stupid double dependency going on here. Right. Okay. Well, we're going to just, in that case, say import dot. Oh, you can't do dot anchor, can you? Balls. Huh. I wonder how you actually solve this particular problem. This is totally not one of those things I was expecting to see. The problem here is the code in common wants to import the code from the other things, but the code from the other things also wants to import the code from here. So when you say from .anchor import this, it immediately tries to load this file, and one of the things it tries to do is import stuff from common, but it can't import stuff from common because it hasn't loaded it yet because it did this part first. One of the dumb ways to solve this is this, I think. If you put it at the bottom, then it has a chance to load the top part, and then everything works like that. And the linter now does what one would expect to do. It's loading and running all of them. So there's that. So this is all we need for this to work per se, except that the code that needs these can't be in common because these things need to import stuff from common. So let's take a look at common and see how we could split it. Okay, that's actually this, isn't it? So the part that's actually doing that is this get linters that can import or it can append instances of the classes that it needs to perform the actual lint, and then it just invokes the lint thing on each of them. So you can't say from dot. I don't think there's a good way to do that. Yeah, we can't say from dot anchor for that very reason. So what actually counts as common code here? Specifically, if we think about this logically, this just needs to import linter base, which is this, and those things. So here's what we're going to try to do. We're going to save as this instead of common. We're going to call it lint base, like so. And lint base is going to contain those two things and the literal linter base. And then all of these methods are going to go away like this, including those things at the bottom because those aren't needed. So lint base would look like just that. And if that needs something, then we're just pushing our problem in another direction. And then back in common, this stuff is now in lint base, so it doesn't have to be here, right? And linter base is in its own file, so it doesn't have to be here. So this part can be here. And down here, we can take these lines that we know are supposed to be up here and put them back here now, because that can import those things the way we want it to. And this would need to say from dot lint base import linter base instead of from common, like this. And one more, this one. And paste that in, and then here, those are things that need to be pulled out, but we do want lint base to be in this list of things here. And that's wrong. And now that can come down to here, like so. And again, yeah, that seems to work in that way that we are suspicious of, and go like so. And it seems to have still loaded, so that's good. And that didn't do anything. So, global name lint target is not defined. Where's this one? In common. Okay, now common's going to need something from lint base. Does lint base need anything from common? I don't think it does, right? But I might have chained my problem outward here. This is a real dilly of a pickle. Okay. The common code has that stuff. It needs to import help anchor listener is this one, which needs to import .lint base from linter base. And when we get to this in common.py on line 68, we need a lint target. And if we wanted to import this from lint base, then when we're loading lint base, maybe we can control this with the order of this. If we imported lint base first, then, well, let's go ahead and just fiddle it and see what we got here. So the problem is in common, we're going to see that this got to be a problem. This can't not be a problem in the common code. If it wants to pull this, it needs to say this from dot lint base import lint target. Maybe if I do it that way, but I don't think so. And now I think it's gonna not load. No, that actually seems to do, oh, what's this? Huh. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was playing with something in my color scheme. Okay. Lint. Okay. Well, it actually seems to work after all. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't expecting that. So let's just trace, because I want to make sure it's not a fluke. This says from linter, it just needs all of those items. And all of those items come from the linter API. And the linter API comes from common. And when it imports common, common needs to take something from lint base, then it needs to take those. And lint base doesn't need anything from common. So common can load lint base, Common can import stuff from lint base without causing a circular dependency. And then when we import each of those commands and they import from lint base, that's fine. When we come to common, saying from anchor, load that, this particular item, which is, for example, this one wants to get something from linter base, but linter base has already been imported at that point because we did this. So everything just magically works. And our linters are kind of nicely laid out here now. I mean, they're sort of nicely laid out in as much as the actual linters themselves are these 4 files or those 2 files, and those ones are all funky. But maybe we can play with that a little bit. So let's come over here and sort of look at what we got here. So how might we want to, oh, I forgot about this part. This doesn't seem to be necessary. Because the linter code doesn't need to be exposed outside of this. The only thing we need to pull in is this. And again, this is that whole, do I actually even need common in here? I probably don't. Because if something's pulling out of the source directory, it only needs to pull the commands in the event listener. It doesn't need any of the support code. But I'm going to leave it in there just because. So let's, whenever you fiddle a file like that, do a little bit of this. Okay, so if we were looking at this thing, we used to do that, now we don't. I think we want to set up the linter code first. And there is a fair bit of this, isn't there? This is that whole, do I want to try to do this piecemeal? Does this actually even need to be in its own branch if we could actually pull this all off in one operation? That might actually not even matter at this point. So yeah, maybe we'll stage that, and then we'll stage all of these untracked files. So what we have is, in the source directory, we import from source linter, but don't bother doing anything there. That file just goes away. Now we have something that imports the stuff that we care about from this particular linter thing so that the other items can do stuff. We're passing the base. There's the common code lint base and that and that. So let's say split the linter code. Oh, actually, maybe we will leave this as multiple commits in a branch. No. I was just thinking of how we might want to do this piecemeal, but I'm going to do it with amends. We'll do that, so to commit that. Now, what we actually want to do here, I think, is I want to rename this as just base.py, like this. Now, we need to search for lint base, because we changed the file, so this should just be base now. Like so. Let's close these files as we come to them, because there's a lot of stuff here and here. So that one should just be base. And we'll see the logic for this in just a second. We're going to save that one and this one and this one and this one. Whoops, crap. this one. And this one. So I think if I was to do that again, there aren't any hits. Okay, so now just to test things, if I did this, that should still work, and I should still be able to lint and get something happening. So now if I came back here, what we would see is that that's an addition. And I'm just going to stage all of these. So we changed lint base to base. We changed lint base to base, lint base to base, lint base to base. Delete that one, lint base to base, lint base to base. And then if we look at all of these things, base was just renamed. So let's amend the previous commit to pretend that that's how we did it originally. And then this file, well, don't do that. This file, we can, whoops. Lint anchor and lint link, and this one, lint mismatching title, and this one, whoops, lint missing help. Now actually, probably a better way to do this would be to make a folder in here called linters, but does it make sense to say lint source linter linters? Maybe in source, lint base should be in source, and this could just be the linters. Maybe that's the proper way to do this. Maybe I should have did it that way. I never really gave that much thought, but that actually does kind of make some sense. Maybe we should do it that way instead. Let's take this back to here. Yeah. And delete all those. So this should still sort of just be back to the way we were, right? Yeah. Now we get to the point where, if we had done it in stages, but what can you do? Lint still works. Okay, so what we actually want to do in that case is, unfortunately, undo that thing that we just finished doing. So nuts to that. Let's rename this file. Oh, actually, let's move this file. Oh no, don't do that. Yeah, I'm not sure if that'll work. Let's rename this file from common to linter common, or maybe just linter.py, because that's what it was before, right? Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll rename this one to linter base. We'll move linter base up to source, and we'll move this up to source like this, and then in the source directory, when we look at this, there is common, there's events, there's linter. Ooh, which wasn't in there. It shouldn't, well, actually, oh, now I have double things. That's probably not going to be good, right? We definitely want linter base. Okay, let's save that. And maybe we don't want this to be named linter. Maybe we'll rename this to linter underscore support, like that. So if we look here, we want well, we want linter base and linter support like that. And that's not going to extend the bounds, right? Okay. Do we actually want to import linter here? I don't think we do. Let's do that. This is the one in source. So let's go ahead and say, yeah, we want events in that. We don't want common. Let's go ahead and just clean those right out. So we definitely want to reload all of the stuff in the source. We want to reload the source commands, and we want to reload the source linter. Now, with all of that being done, up here in linter, there's no longer a dot common. Dot common is now dot linter support. That still works. Let's zoom that so we can see. So the only thing that's in this folder are actual linters. So we want to pull those items out of there so that we can export them from linter. Actually, do we even need to do that? I don't think we do. I think we can just remove those. We'll fix those later. We'll remove that and just put that, because all that should really be in here, I think, is just the linters. I think that's probably the way to go. And then we want, instead of dot base, it should be dot linter base, import linter base, I think is how that should work. And we'll go ahead and replace that in all of these as well. This is why you should probably spitball these things on paper. To be honest, normally on a weekend, I think of how I want to do this, but today I didn't do that because it was Easter and we had a bunch of other stuff going on. So let's clean that up and see what we got here. Okay, so it's mad because it probably can't find those things that it thinks it needs, which is not unexpected because I just deleted them. And let's see, in commands in lint, this shouldn't be from linter, it should be from linter underscore support. I think that'll fix this. That's in lint.py, commands lint.py. Okay, lint.py, line 8, right? This shouldn't be linter. Both of these should be linter support. I think. Okay, now why is it mad? No module named. Oh, I didn't rename. Linter support on line 13. Okay, here we go. I forgot I renamed that thing. Okay, let's just go ahead and close a bunch of files here. Linter support from linter base, like that. That one file that it needs, and oh, shoot. Yeah, those are. Now this should be from .linter. Import those. And just quit and restart. There we go. Yeah, because those are all now part of that module instead of this being inside that module. It's in the outer part. So we come over here, we do a lint, and we still get that. Okay, now we can come back to here. Now let's just review what we did. We removed common and linter from the top level source because we don't need to convey either of those things. We only need to convey events and input handlers. So we're happy with that change. Here, linter became linter support because we took something from the linter directory and put it in the source directory itself. And here in the linter file, It doesn't need to pull in the common code to export it because it's not in this thing at all. And anchor gets things from the linter base above. Common, hang on, link linter does the same thing, and so does the mismatch linter, and so does that one. And then that'll go away. If we did linter base here and linter base here, we can see down here that linter base is just renamed. So instead of being source linter base, it's source linter base. It moved down a directory and changed its name. And this one's doing the same thing. It's changing from common to linter support, so that because there's only one thing named common there. And then we're going to amend the previous commit. If that is the case there, then technically this doesn't need to be on that particular branch. So I think what I could probably do is switch to master and then merge this in as a fast forward, and then delete linter refactoring, because that's not really anything that needs to be that way. But we split that into a separate submodule. The code didn't really change except for its structure, so we'll say that that's probably good for that. And that actually finishes the first of our many items, finish package layout changes. And it still leaves us a good 45 minutes. Excuse me. Still leaves us a good 45 minutes to work on the next thing, which is help files not in the table of contents. Now this is very similar to help files not linked anywhere. So maybe they both require some sort of exclusion checking. I kind of know how I want to do that. Basically, I think what we want is a set that contains all of the help files, and then for every anchor, we look to see what source file it's in and remove it from the set. And when we're done, if there are any files that are still in the set, they must be problems. So that help files not in the table of contents. I guess the first thing we probably want to do in that case is set up to have something to actually look at. So I'll go to my user package here, and then I will edit this help index like this, and we can pull that file down and close this thing. So if I lint here, the topic build already appears in, yeah, there's actually issues in this particular file. Title and file header test.txt does not match the index. So that's test.txt. So this should be test help file. So let's fix that first. Test help file. Whoop. So if I did that, then that problem goes away. Title in index.txt doesn't match the index. User specific help. And what did I call it in here? Well, maybe we'll change that to user help index. I think that was a combination of setting stuff up and this code has never been linted. Okay. Lint that. Now the only problem is the topic build already appears in this file. Does it now? Oh, because of that. I see. This is invoked by a build cancel. I don't think this should be done that way. I think it should be this. Which, this is that, yeah. I'm not sure why that was actually an anchor because nothing can actually jump to there, I would imagine. The reason that's in error is because an anchor used to be any text, and way back a few streams we changed it so you can say topic colon text. So this is actually was defining an anchor with a topic of build with the text of cancel, and it was getting mad because there's already something called build in here, like so. So the thing we're trying to do first is help files not in the table of contents. So if we look at this, test.txt is here, but test.txt doesn't appear in the table of contents, I'm willing to bet. If there even is a help contents in this thing. Oops. Yeah, there's not even a help contents in this thing. So let's do this. Just an empty thing. Okay, now if I lint this, it should still just work fine. Like type. Okay, so now my user package is the package we're going to lint. And it should give us a warning or to tell us when files don't appear in the table of contents at all. Should be good. So, like I said, that was something that was related to anchors. So if we did this, and if you could not do that, that would be great. We're going to save this as, well, what are we going to save this as? Help files not in the talk, not in the table of contents. Maybe we'll save as this as missing in talk, like so. And then this would be missing in TOC linter. Oh, actually, this is just a regular class, so it could look like that. And, you know, theoretically, that would do something. Now, copy that. If this is something that's happening in the table of contents, now this is that whole, we got a little bit of stuff to do here. We have to say from linter import missing in talk linter like so. When we look for get linters, we want to add something similar to this here. So let's paste that first. And then cut that one and paste it here. The first of these are linters that are just always available. We can always test if an anchor in a particular file is in the index, and we can always test if a link links against something. But these particular ones require us to be linting in the help index instead of in a help file. You don't need to test those sorts of things. I mean, we maybe could enhance that in the future, but that's not what we're going to do right now. And here we also want a little bit of not that, but this. And we probably also want to say from dot missing in talk import missing in talk linter. So if I reload that, I think that should get us, you know, doing something. I mean, it's gonna replicate existing logic, but everything is still there. Whoops, that is not the. That's the thing. So there's no errors there. Now, just to verify all of that business, I could print missing talk thing like so, reload the package, and if I did the lint, we don't get any errors, but we can see it saying that it did it. Kind of was only expecting to see that once. This might be an issue. I might have done that wrong at this late date. Excuse me. Let's look at this file again. And again, please stop doing that. I'm going to close that for now and zoom that. If the target type is package, let's take a look at how missing help source linter works. It all happens in the init. Okay, I think that's probably okay. So if we did this, not that, excuse me, but we don't need to do any of that. We don't need this to actually be in lint. We need it to be like this. Lint in the help index. Oh, actually, maybe I might actually. Well, we can work our way with that. To find all help files that appear in the index, but which don't appear as links in any files as defined. Oh, but which don't appear. Lint in the help index to find all help files that appear in the index but which don't appear at least once in the defined table of contents, if any. Okay. That's what that's going to do. Now, I think, if we do the lint, which is decidedly tricky now that I made that so tiny, I'm going to move that up there so that I have a little bit more of it to see. If I did the lint now, oh, look at how broken that is. Oh, yeah, because a lot of this stuff presumes facts not in evidence. Right. It doesn't have the name of the file it's linting because it's not linting a file. Reload the package and lint here, and we should only see it happen once because as it's being initialized, that's when it does the linting. That lint method gets invoked once for every file to be able to test that particular file, which isn't something that we need to worry about here. Where's my water? Ouch. I short-sheeted myself. There we go. Still working. Perfect. So now we need to think, how do we actually want to do this? We are getting a package info. So what we could print here is package info dot. And if I did this and said help, I'm not even entirely, I can't remember. I have to open it's been so long since I worked on the core. Not in there. I can't remember what the index file doc root help topics. Let's go ahead and copy this out and paste it into that file just for us to look at like thus. The package info help files. If I did that, then when we run the lint, we get, see, we're getting an ordered dictionary of the actual files. Whoops. Can I say for help file, comma blah, and package info dot help files print help file, just one. Reload. lint. Oh, too many values to unpack. Expected to, oh, because it's getting, well, let's see what that does. It's kind of not what I was expecting. Yeah, it's just automatically doing it the way we want. Okay, so that's the help files. That part's easy. And, whoops, print, just an empty line, and print package info dot help talk, like so, just to see what we're looking for here. And that is a list of caption topic type things, even if they're, oh crap, there's a lot of them. Help files equals file for file in package info dot help files. I think that's probably more or less what I want to do there. So I end up with, oh yeah, comment that one out so we can verify that that's actually doing what we want. Reload. The idea here is to get a list of, a set of the actual file. So that's the help files that are in the base, right? And then we can say, just as a test, topic dot file. Is that what it was doing in there? Yeah. Topic dot file for topic in package info dot help talk. Now that's actually something, if you don't specify it in the index, it's one is created for you. And then we could print topics, which isn't really the correct name for that, like this. And oh, has no attribute file. Are you sure? Because it really seemed like that's exactly what it was called, but maybe I'm misremembering. Caption command topic wrap lines file index.txt. Oh, right. I swear, you do too much programming in a different language, and you really mess your brain up. Oh, let's get rid of that one too. So, I'm gonna reload that index and then lint it. So this is the list of, oh, right, okay, this is in fact doing exactly, okay. The first one is the list of all of the help files that exist as a set, and this is the list of all of the files, sorry, they're sets, I keep saying list. This is a set that contains the unique names of all of the help files that exist. This is a set that is the unique file names for every topic that's listed in the table of contents. And if we printed help files minus topics, what we would end up with should be an empty set. Whoops. Because those two items are the same if we know what we're doing here, like so, okay? So help files is that one. Talk files is that one. And here we would say for file in help files minus topics something. And the something, excuse me, is what we would be doing in this one. Boop, boop. Notice how this is very similar to this thing that is in here. This is finding all of the text files that are in the document root and generating a message. So we'll copy that and we'll paste it here. All of this stuff can just go away because we don't care about that. We just need a couple of blank lines there. Now, these would be warnings. Is not represented in the table of contents, like so. Okay, so I'm going to reload that. Now let's give this some testing and then I'll explain why I'm an idiot. So if I lint this, I get a, oh, what did I do? Oh, I forgot to rename the other one. Whoops. There we go. If I lint this, I get no errors, no warnings, nothing prints in the console. The reason for that is when the help contents list is missing, it's presumed to be an empty list. And if it's an empty list, it's presumed to be an empty list. And in that case, the table of contents for the help is every possible topic in every possible file, including the sample topic from the sample file and the another sample topic from the other sample file topic thing. So correctly, this is telling us that all the files are represented in the table of contents because this is literally every topic in this whole entire thing. If I was to throw index.txt into this list and reload the index, now if I do this, that's the only topic that we see in the table of contents. We can't see anything else there. And in that case, if I linted, assuming there was not a problem with my code, we could see that it actually has a problem. So what dumb thing did I, okay, we don't care about that one. For file in, oh yeah, right. Maybe if I wasn't an idiot, I wouldn't do this, huh? Yeah, maybe if all things were equal. Lint it again, and now, again, okay, well, do that, turn that off, reopen the linter output. And we're seeing a warning that says that the help file test.txt is not represented in the table of contents, which is true. It's not. And if I changed this from index to test.txt like that and reloaded the index and linted it, it changes to index.txt isn't in the table of contents. And if I said index.txt and test.txt and reloaded, and linted it, then there's no errors because both of the files are listed here. So that is 100% of what we want for that particular thing, right? Now it can tell us if help files exist, but they're not listed anywhere in the table of contents. So just for giggles, if I went to the hyperhelp help and edited this help index, oh, that's right. I currently, the message even says that, doesn't it? It currently can't open help files from packed packages for editing. That file isn't there currently, so there's nothing it can do with that one. That's interesting. But what we can is we do the Sublime API and edit that help index and lint it. Text command, look, All these help files are not represented in the table of contents, which is technically correct. They're not represented in the table of contents. So that's telling us that there's probably some help in Snappy that could be smarter. So that's good to know. Now we're going to bring this back to here. And again, we'll just go ahead and lint that one. So that's that one. Help files that are not in the table of contents. So if we look here, what did we actually do? Oh, stop double clicking so much. We added a new missing in table of contents linter, which we import and then export to anybody that cares. And in the list of linters, we inject that one so that we know if we're linting the help index, we should also check for that. But doesn't check for that if you're linting just a particular single file. So we can stage that one. And then the untracked file is the actual linter itself, which is that. And then we can say lint to check for error. Okay. New lint check files not in the table of contents. It's long, but I'm going to edit it, so that's okay. And we're going to commit. And now the next one in the list is help files not linked anywhere. Check for help files that exist in the index, but there are no links that point to them, such files are effectively invisible. This is mitigated somewhat by 5, but I think we want to do it anyway. Now this, oh yeah, this number 5 is, I think that one. I renumbered some of these things and I didn't edit that part. This one is very similar to this. We still want to get a list of all of the help files like that. But unlike this one, we need to lint all of the files in this thing one after the other and check if it has any links in it that link to this. It's not enough to check the table, the topic list like we're doing here, because obviously we already wrote this code. Because just because there's a topic in the index doesn't mean anything is actually creating a link that links to it anywhere. So this one is somewhat more complicated. We still have the linter base set up to be able to do this. I can't remember the full details. But what we want basically is a mix of what we've already looked at. You know, we saw the anchor linter gets invoked once for every file that is being linted, and it can check for problems in that particular exact file, right? That's not what we wanted to do here because we didn't want this to have this code run every time for every file, because if there's 2 files and one of them is missing, you'll see the same error twice, which is what that stuff we were seeing in the console before. So here what we really need is it can go ahead and do this in the init. It can figure this stuff out. There's also another method in here that we could do something with. But there's also a third way, and then if we actually, in order to fully grok what we're going to do here, let's look at linter base, and in particular this linter base class. So there are a couple of things here. When the class is initialized, it does this, okay? Which kit sets up, stores the package info that was provided. It sets up a list of issues that are going to be eventually added to the file, and then it figures out what its index file is named and stores that so that it could use it for later if it needs it. This gets invoked every time one of the help files is linted, which for the index is once for every file. But if you linted in, say, test.txt or index.txt, it would just happen once and it would be that file. Add and add index are both for adding issues to the list of items, and they take the type, which is, warning or error, and the file and the point in the file where it happens, except for add index, which doesn't do that currently because we don't have a good way to know exactly where in the index something is happening. After all of this happens, basically it gets initialized. Lint gets called once for every file that's going to be linted, which may or may not call each of these one or more times. And once it's all done, results is called to actually fill the stuff in. So what we want here, when we do the anchor linting, for example, we just implement the code here in lint, because, hang on, I got to scratch my ear. My apologies. We want those checks to happen once for every file. In the one we just wrote, we only need it to happen once, so we did it in the init. We could also have done it here in results if we wanted to. But in this next one, we're going to do a hybrid approach. We're going to have an init, or actually, we don't even need to do an init in this one. We could do this one the other way. We're going to have a lint here, which for every file captures um, the anchors and adds to a member variable files that have been linked to within this package. And then we're going to do something in results to do something similar to what we're doing here. Probably easier to just do it than talk about it. So what would this one actually be called? Unlinked help would be called this one. So let's save as this one to unlinked files like this, and we'll call this unlinked help files linter. And oh crap, I probably did not mean to do this, did I? So let's go ahead while we still have a chance and stage that and amend the previous commit so it doesn't look like we did that. Okay, that's probably what we want. Okay, now in this one, we're going to do that. We're going to leave that there for the time being. Now, again, we need to do the same thing in this init as we did before. We need to stick this in here, and we need to say from dot unlinked files import that. Then that one's done. And in linter support, in get linters, again, this one is a package linter. So we want to do it this way because in order to check this, it needs to be running the lint for every file, not just for one or two of them. That'll be enough to get this linter linked in, although it's not actually doing anything interesting. Now, here's what we're going to do here in the init. We're going to say help files is that, the way we've done here. And then we're going to say linked files is a set, like so. And that one we don't need. Then we need to add this one. And actually, for our purposes, I think what we want, we're linting links. We want something similar to this. And we're going to need to import more stuff, but we'll worry about that in a second. Whoops. Indent matters, like so. And then what we want last is linter bases results, like this. And for this one, we would do this, and then return super dot results, like this. Doing a little bit of back scratching there. So here we could say print setting up unlinked linter. Here, for the purposes of us doing things, we're going to just comment that out and say pass. And as a matter of fact, I don't even know if I need that stuff up there, but we will say print checking links in and send that the file name like so. And here we could say print tabulating results for %s, and this would be self.index file like so. Reload that, and oh, look how unhappy that is. What did I do wrong here? Automatic package loader problem. Okay. So if I lint in this index, it's blown up. Global name unlinked help files linter is not defined. Oh, did I forget to import it in that thing? In the linter support? I forgot to the import statement. That's my bad. Okay, we'll close that one because we don't care. We're going to close that one because we don't care. And we don't care about the core. We're in here. And in particular, I forgot the from.linter import. That one. Okay. Try it now. Global name help. Oh, yes. I forgot. I specifically said we're going to need to import more stuff, aren't we? Oh, sorry. Yeah. That can go away. And we are going to want parse link body from that link linter thing, which is this one. So we still want to have, oh, how did I do that? That was in the core. Oh, I already did that because I took it from there. That might be all I need there. We'll see. Okay, reload and lint works, and we see it say setting up unlinked linter. It's checking links in index, it's checking links in text, and tabulating the results for hyperhelp.json. Swanko. So we don't need this print message because it's definitely doing something. And what's it doing? It's capturing the list of all help files like it did before. And now we're just setting up a set to be used to store files in links. So again, we don't need to do that. But we do want to do a little bit of this. And we're going to need to look at this one for just a second. If topic is none, we're unhappy. And if link is none, let's copy both of these. Oh yeah, actually we need to do all of this stuff, don't we? So let's copy all of this for now. Oh, actually maybe as this because we're actually calling it that way. Okay, so we're going to paste that just like so. So what do we have here? Find all of the links and then iterate over them. Get the link body, parse it into the package it's for, the topic it's for, the text it's for, and then validate it, and if it's not, add it. So it's not quite what we want. Do we care about the topic being broken? No. If topic is none, then this link is malformed, so don't do anything with it. So here we'll return false, let's say, because this is not a valid link. Then we get the link package. If the link package is none, or the link package is not equal, oh, that's not Lua, not equal to self.packageInfo.package, return false. Okay. What that's going to do is say, get the package that this link is supposed to be for, which defaults to the current package if, wonder why I did that way. We're going to have to double check that. Get the package that this link is for, and if it wasn't found or it's not our current package, then we don't care. Because if this link is a link to a topic in another package, it doesn't matter to us. We don't want to use its file for anything because that's going to give us weird issues, quote unquote. And then we need to look up the help topic, and if the index info is none, then we also want to return false. Now, I guess this is validating the, oh, I don't actually care about the file name, right? Or the link body per se, because I'm not generating error messages. So I don't need file name or link body, like so. And I probably don't need text because I don't care what the text of the link is. I do need to extract it there. But I could get rid of that one. And this I'm going to say if self.package do something. Get rid of that. So the idea of this validate topic is, and let's just jump over here. Link package is the self package info if package is none. If the link doesn't have one, then use our package info. Otherwise, look it up. Yeah, okay. So that makes sense. That's why we did that way. So what we're going to do is iterate over all of the links. For each one, we're going to grab the body of the link, which remember, this is the source file version. So it's going to be vertical pipes, and it needs to be parsed into the package that the link goes to, the topic that it links to in that package, and what the text is. And we have that whole logic where if there's no colons, then it's just an implicit link where the topic and text are the same and the package is the current package and blah, blah, blah. We call self validate to see if this is a valid topic or not. And only when this returns true do we actually do magic work here. And so we return false if there's not a topic because the link is broken. We get the package that this is supposed to be for, which might be us if there wasn't one specified in the link. Otherwise, it looks up the package, which may still also return us, by the way. If it's an explicit link. And then if there isn't a package, or there is, but it's not our package, we don't care about this link because we're just trying to gather links to files in our package so we can exclude them as a file that has a link to it. Then we look up the help topic, and if that fails, we return false. But otherwise, this is probably a valid topic, and we can return true. But what we actually don't want to return true here, we actually want to return index info of file, because we need the file of this topic. So if that's the case, I think we maybe want to put nones here. If self.validate, oh yeah, file equals self.validate package topic. If file is not none, then do this. So if any of this is not valid, return none. Otherwise, return the file of this link. And if file is not none, then self dot linked files add file, like so. Okay, now tabulating results for here, we don't need to say that. We can say index files is self.help files and print linked files self dot linked files, right? Yeah. See how well that works. I feel like I'm missing something important. Global name parse link body is not defined. Did I not? Huh. That's weird. But whatevs. Lint. Object has no attribute. Unlinked. Help files linter. Sure it does. It's right there. Oh. If I did it correctly, then I wouldn't look like a boob. Whoops. What did that do? Lint. Okay. So what have we found here? Apparently, there are no linted files. There are those two files existed. Let's do this. Considering topic, reload and lint, and it's not really. Huh. Probably not a lot of links in this thing. This might not be the perfect help package to be testing this particular linter in. Oh, and we've reached our 2 hours. I'd really like to sort of get this rolling. Let's do that, and maybe we'll just adjust the size of this so we can see that if we care. This just jumps to the header. So if I did this, and reloaded that and linted here like this, and we checked, there's exactly one link, so it's considering a topic name file. So what we actually find is no topics are linked anywhere. Index.txt doesn't link to itself, and test.txt doesn't link to itself either. If I was to say index.txt and then perform the lint, then we end up with it considering index.txt, but it still didn't see why it bailed out on there. Print no topic, print crunk package, and print failed lookup. Okay. Now, if I reload that, lint that, check the console, we see the link is index.txt. It's considering index.txt. That has a crunk package because it's our package. Let's do this. Crunk package %s and link package. What's that telling us? Let's make sure that that works. Doop. Not all arguments converted during string formatting. Why not? Fine. How about that? There we go. Holy crap. What the hell happened? Well, I see things going subtly wrong. Considering Oh, because it finds the actual package. Right, link package dot package. Okay. Debug problem, no big deal. Crunk package, why is user a crunk package? How did I test this? If link package is none or link package is not equal to self package info dot package. Oh, sorry. Because that's supposed to look like that. It's the thing I just finished discovering that I'm an idiot about. No go? Why is that not a thing? Oh, because it actually hit this thing. I guess that's not how you do that set operation thing. Where the hell is it? This one. Maybe it's this. To be honest, I can't remember how sets work, you know. So the link is index.txt. It's considering index. It's considering file. So both of those things have links to them. So that is kind of working now. And if I took this out and linted it again, I'm ending up with, now nothing is linking to that. Okay. So, actually the problem here is that test.text is linking to itself. That doesn't count, I guess. Huh. I'm going to add that back because what we want to see in this situation is the only thing that's linking to test.text is test.text. So the fact that it's linking to itself doesn't give us any information that, you know, the whole idea here is to tell us that there's no way to get there from another file, which is still technically true. So what we actually want here is what? We want self package topic. I think we also want file name here. And here we're going to pass file name. And we're going to say if index info file is equal to file name, return none. And we're going to say print, well, we'll copy this one. I think this is going to do what we want. Print link is in a file linking to itself. Otherwise, return that. Okay, so in this case, now when we run it, we still get, you know, no errors because we haven't tied that in. So the link index.txt is considering index.txt, and that's this link here. And then it's got the link for file jump to header, which is considering file, but that link is in a file linking to itself. So the only file that's linked in this thing is index.txt, which is linked to from test.txt. So that's what we want there. And if this was gone, then when we did this, we similarly see nothing there. So let's put that one back for the time being. So with all of that being said, do we need to print this? No. Do we need to know what we're considering? No. We're going to remove that. 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 Excuse me if this headset has been making my ears a little itchy, as of late. I think my coaster just fell down. Where did you go, coaster? I assume that's what that was. I have some coasters that I got from the loot crate. Oh, did it go way over there? I'll worry about you later, coaster. Which are nice. They're cork and they're leather on the top, and they have a logo on them that I can't remember exactly what it is. Here's another one over here. It is the Pan Pacific Defense Corps. That's from from Pacific Rim, from Legendary Entertainment. They got a nice leather or leatherette top with that logo, and the bottom is cork, but it's very thin and light, and if your glass sweats, then the coaster sticks to the glass until you pick it up and take a sip, and then it falls off and it falls on the floor and runs under your desk near the end of your stream, and it's all irritating because now your stuff is on the floor, and what are you going to do? Just leave it all alone. Oh, and notice that, yeah, the Microsoft Updater for Mac OS doesn't work as well as it could. Um, anyway, we're tabulating results for the index file. Okay, that's good, that's good, that's good. What we actually want to say here is something very similar to that thing we just finished doing a second ago in this one. We want to pull that and do something with it here. I'm going to turn that back off again. So for file in self.help files, which is that one, minus self.linked files, add index warning, help file is not linked to from any file in this package. Any other file in this package, let's say. And then we can get rid of this and reload that and come over here and lint this. And now we get one warning that says the help file test.txt is not linked to from any other file in this package. And if I deleted this and did the lint is telling me that index.txt is not linked to from any other file in this package, and test.txt isn't. And if I went to index and jumped up to the top and said, there is a, sample link here, and then linted this, that would make the one for sample go away. Oh, sorry, it's not sample, it's test. Just because I named the thing sample. Link references unknown topic test.txt. Does it now? Well, why is that the case? Oh, text, not test, text. Boy, the number of times that I have done that, I swear. There. Index.txt isn't linked to from any other file in this package. And if we put that one back, now the problem is all gone. Yay! Now let's do that thing where we skip forward into, let's say, the snappy thing and edit this help index and lint it. And oh, that didn't happen nicely at all, did it? Why is it broken now? Didn't it just work a second ago? Global name help index list is not defined. Oh, because it was working by accident. That's why we test these things. Yeah, help index list is totally not one of the things that's up here. Let's reload that. Try it now. Those are all not represented in the table of contents, and like help file index.txt is not linked to from any other file in this package, and sheet.txt is not represented. So the only file in here that's not represented is index.txt as being not linked to from any other file in this package. We could say that index.txt doesn't necessarily need to be linked to from anywhere because it's the root of the help system. I like that as a thing, and I think the easiest thing to do there would be to do this. Linked files just always contains that one. I mean, the other way to do that would be to add some thing in here that says if this is index always. It seems like it's easier to just do that. So if I did this, now all we really see is that, you know, well, I would have thought that that would have worked. Did I not? Help file index.txt is not linked to from any other file in this package. And what is this business? Oh, I'm still printing stuff to the console. Index files is that. And wait, linked files still in here? This one. There's all kinds of stuff in here. The real question is, why is index.txt not in here? Why is I in here? Why is I a file? Oh, because I did that thing that I did do all the damn time. Okay. Python. Oh, this one. I'm going to do that because you pass add an iterable. It's not really what we want to do here. Da, da, da. Most boring thing ever. Let's put that over here so you can see what I'm looking at. Python add item to set, because given an element, if the element's not present, yeah, I think how this generally shakes out is the argument to the set constructor is expected to be an iterable. So if you pass it a string, it adds an I, an N, a D, an E, an X, and an X. It doesn't even add the X, it adds a dot though. So you need to pass it an array of things like that. And then when you lint it, the index file is still in the list because it's not being turned into a bunch. And if we looked in the console, we see index.txt in the linked files somewhere in here. Right there. Yep. And if we looked up at this other one, there's the E, the D, and the X. So, okay. But we also don't need that stuff in there either. So we can do that and then lint this. And I think that's what we want. Because again, the index.txt file is like an index.html in a web page. It's something that should just always be present. So that you know that you can, that's like the root of the thing. So the fact that there's no link that links back to it is less problematic because that's usually the file that would get loaded anyway. At least that's my take on that. So we probably don't need to worry about that. But for any other file, if there's not some file other than itself that links to it, we probably want to know about that, I think. So this seems like sort of what we want to have done here. So let's go ahead and check. So again, we added a new unlinked help files linter. So we added a file. We need to import it and add it to that so it gets exported. And here we need to import it and add it to the list of linters. So we're going to stage that. And there's a new untracked file, which as we recall, oh, let's edit that so we don't do that same dumb thing we did last time. Get rid of that and go ahead and stage, oops, stage that again. That's this one. Doop, doop. Which is this one. Oh, nope, this one. So again, when the class is initialized, we capture the list of all the help files that exist in the index and then set up a list of files that have links to them automatically, including the index.txt, because we assume that that one, even if it's not linked, is implicitly linked by the help system, knowing that it can open the index as a default topic. All good. And then when we run the lint for every single file name, we get all of the links, we parse them to figure out what package topic and text they have. Then we validate it to see if this is a topic that is a link that we care about. And if it is, we add the file that it's from, which is returned from the validate command to the list of linked files. And when we validate things, if there was no topic because the link is broken, don't do anything. Get the package that this link is to, and if we can't find it because it doesn't exist and it doesn't have an index yet, or it does exist but it's not our package, then ignore this link, because again, if there was a link to index.txt in the hyperhelp author help and we're linting the user package, we don't want to treat that as a link to the file in our package because it's clearly not. The package name and the file name together make up the thing. And then we look up the help topic to figure out what file it's in. And if that doesn't work, we say we don't care. And if it's our file, we also don't care because we don't want a file can link to itself. That doesn't mean anybody can find it if there's no other way to open it. And then otherwise we return the file, which would add it to the list of files we've seen. And when all of the files have been linted, we call to get results, which finds all of the help files and adds them to the item. So this one would be new lint files that are not linked by other files. And again, that's a little long, but we can go ahead and tweak that up. So we've done a fair bit of work today. We've cleaned up the resources directory to make the code a little nicer there. We've split the linter code up into its own list of stuff and done a new lint check for files that aren't in the table of contents and for files that aren't actually linked. And if we came over to here, that takes us through number 4, which is send, or up through number 3. So number 4 is send the lint output to a panel instead of the output panel, and then come up with common routines for getting the package for a resource, and commands need to use local path separators. We want to double check all that code and then be able to open help from packaged files, which is another big one, which is that thing that we saw when we're looking at the snappy help and I say edit this help file. That one works, but if we are in the help and I say edit this help file, it doesn't work because this wants to just open a local file and it can't do that because it doesn't exist because it's packed. What it should do is use load resource to open the file anyway and apply variables to it so that when you try to save the file, it knows that it should create an override out of it. I, similarly, I think the help index should work the same way. That is what we're going to work on in the next stream. But for now, this stream is now done. And we have gone just 24 minutes over. It's a little bit of a longer stream, but we did get all of the work that we wanted to get done. So that is fantastic. I'd like to thank you for watching this live. If you were here watching it me work. If you weren't and you're watching this later, thanks for that. If you have any questions about anything in here, why I'm doing something, how something works, drop that in the comments section below. Hit me on Twitter at OdatNurd, or in extreme cases, send me an email at a place of my choosing. Let's go ahead and I got too many windows here. You know what? I just want to show you my desktop, man. Why do I always forget that there's probably a way to do that? Actually, I think I took the desktop button away. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Let's minimize that and close this and close that. There you go. Send me an email at odatnurd@gmail.com or visit my website if you'd like to know other information about my packages. And one last thing before we go, new video dropping on my other channel tomorrow about how to use plugins if you're unfamiliar with how that works. So there's a link to my other channel down in the description of this video. It's also highlighted on my channel. If you're not a subscriber of that and you'd like to watch more planned, shorter than 2.5 hour videos, now featuring my face, it's a new thing I'm testing out. Go ahead and view that in the other channel. It's going live tomorrow. But until then, uh, this is OdatNurd asking you to subscribe, like if you like things, but most importantly, have a sublime day.